Welcome to the Scaling Japan podcast. On today's episode, I have Robert Heldt. He is the CEO of Custom Media, and Custom Media is an award-winning full-service B2B agency offering marketing, branding, PR solutions, and more to global businesses entering or expanding in the Japanese market in revolutionary industries such as AI, clean energy, fintech, healthcare, manufacturing, the industries that are shaping the future. Before we start, here's a quick introduction to myself, your host. I run two businesses in Japan. Smart Start Japan helps with incorporation and government subsidies and loans. Feel free to reach out or visit smartstartjapan.com. Second, scaling your company. We are a revenue growth agency. For sales, we provide affordable sales advisory and online courses. For marketing, we provide advisory and digital marketing services to grow your revenue. Feel free to reach out or visit scalingyourcompany.com. Now back to the episode. It's really good to have you on the podcast again, Robert. Previously, we talked about account-based marketing, and today I'm looking forward to talking about B2B content marketing landscape based on the survey you did and the report you created. But before we dive into the survey and results, could you please introduce yourself again, Robert?
Sure. Thank you, Tyson. It's good to be back, and thanks for inviting me back on your podcast. Yes, we had a really good conversation the last time, and I'm excited to be here to talk a little bit more about our content marketing report we did earlier this year. So yes, for those who are hearing this podcast for the first time with me, I'm Robert Heldt. I'm the CEO and co-founder of Custom Media. Originally from India, I've been in Japan 20 years now. Started the business as a B2B publishing company, and over the last 16 years, transitioned the business into a more B2B full-service marketing agency, focusing on specific industries that are shaping the future.
Awesome. Yeah, and for those of you who hadn't listened to it, I really recommend you listen to it. And we got a lot of good feedback from other marketers in the industry. They found it very insightful and worth listening to. I guess let's start by, could you kind of give us a brief summary of the survey you did on the B2B content marketing landscape?
Sure. One of the reasons we decided to do a survey on content marketing landscape in Japan is, we found that, working with a lot of clients, content is the most important, source of marketing in the country or anywhere, basically. So we wanted to get insights as to how do marketers, see content marketing? What's their strategies for content marketing? And the best way to do that is speak directly with marketers. So what we did was we focused on a survey that reached senior directors, managers, and C-suite and VP kind of executives in very specific industries: technology, manufacturing, consulting, finance, professional services. They were the top 5 industries we surveyed, and a really good mix of companies as well, company size as well. We had about 27% of the companies we surveyed were with over 5,000 employees globally. And then, about 42% were about 1 to 500, so small as well, so small, medium, and large, a good mixture of companies. And again, the reason to do that is to get a good pulse of across industries and across job titles and seniority level, what is the feeling towards content marketing. And the report was really enlightening for us. It helped us to better understand what our clients want. And then, based on those insights, we are able to deliver better content, better solutions for our clients.
Me personally, I have found that the level of content on the internet in Japan has been improving. I would say probably even like 4 years ago, 4 years ago, if I were to do research on a topic, the quality of the information in Japanese would just be too low. Meaning, for example, if I were to research SEO, They'll be pretty much, they'll just translate an article in English and there would be like no information on the Japan market. Or if they had anything about Japan, it would just be very generic. Like, oh, Japanese culture, they like, they want all the information. It's like, no, what I want to know is what percent of people click the number one rank in Japan, number two. And it's like, I couldn't find that information. And it was like, and across this various different topics, I couldn't do research. But now, so one of my projects that I'm doing for our incorporation business and also just my own reference is on like Japanese SEO, code calling. I'm just collecting a lot of data and making like pretty much like a seminar for like our clients. And I found that it's much easier to do now because of content marketing. And one example I have to get yesterday is I was researching how much would it cost to outsource an SEO article. And like before it, there's just no good information. But I found an AI writer, they create an AI writing tool. And like their numbers, like, okay, that's how much I think it actually does cost. Whereas the other ones, it was like, it was something, it was just too cheap, the previous ones.
Yeah, definitely the quality and relevance of the content in the market has improved, and it's not just translated pieces anymore. The pieces are localized for local, market nuance, for local audience nuance, and also, giving value to the intended reader, right? What's in it for them, right? So it has improved over the years, and I think part of it has been awareness, and also most companies always see what their counterparts are doing either locally or globally, and that helps them also to set the benchmark and aim to achieve that benchmark.
Awesome. And so, yeah, let's dive into some of the findings. But what were some of the findings that surprised you?
Yeah, I was quite surprised. Brand awareness was the top objective for content marketers, and it makes sense. Top of the funnel, the very first thing, your target audience know you. So awareness is very important. And although brand awareness was so important, I found that and 95% of the participants felt storytelling is very important and relevant. However, only 58% were thoroughly convinced of the importance of storytelling. And storytelling, is critical to brand awareness because it's all about who you are, what your business stands for, what's your philosophy, vision, values, all that comes out in how you can effectively tell the story of your business to start with, and then your product and the functionality and so on and so forth. The other thing that I was quite surprised was thought leadership is quite low in Japan. Creating thought leadership content, is compared to globally, most successful B2B businesses globally are 4 times more likely to use thought leadership during the sales process, right? So thought leadership in our survey and at fifth, and only 45% had it as one of the objectives for content marketing. I think that's going to hopefully improve over the years as well, because thought leadership is not just about what the business is doing, but what your executives stand for, and it's an opportunity for the leadership team to to share with customers, their vision, their knowledge in the industry.
Yeah, no, that's really, really surprising to me as well. And for me, I think the other important thing about thought leadership is in Japan, a lot of companies are really struggling with hiring and everybody's trying to get the best talent. And thought leadership is a perfect way to show that your company has a vision to attract these really good talent. So that's really surprising for me.
Because I was going to say, like, traditionally, thought leadership has been seen as top of the funnel brand awareness activity, but I think more and more it's becoming more of a sales support activity, right? So it's important driver to drive revenue, right?
Exactly.
So companies look at it as, okay, this is going to impact my bottom line and impact the sales cycle. Then they start to invest more in it, right? Because then it's connected to ROI. But when it's only connected to awareness, then it feels like it's more soft, rather than results
Ah,
driven.
yeah, gotcha. Do you know any reason why it's been taking longer for Japan?
I think Japan business practice as well. It's more about collective, decision making, collective kind of sales processes. So people and executives don't feel like they need to stand out and be the champion for the organization. And a lot of thought leadership content is coming from
Hmm.
executives. So the executives need to be the champions out there, right? Or be seen there, even if they're not the ones, writing the content, but it's ghost written on their behalf, and they're the voice of the business. That is kind of not how typically business practices in Japan work. So I think that's one of the reasons why, and that's changing. You see more and more senior leaders in Japanese companies stepping up and giving their voice to their business and their marketing activities. Yeah.
Gotcha. Because I do sometimes have foreign corporations, they reach out for me for recruitment branding because they want more candidates. But then I go back to them and say, like, okay, then why should the candidates come to you in the first place? And it always comes back to thought leadership. So that's really interesting. Yeah, that's a really interesting insight. I want to dive also a little bit back into storytelling.
Mhm.
So could you tell us maybe what are some of the differences in storytelling between Japan and maybe the West, and maybe some good examples of storytelling?
Yeah, storytelling is such an important uh, piece of content because it helps establish, especially in Japan, it establishes credibility, builds trust, and also can highlights long-term benefits, for the end user. So in Japan, where business relationships are built over time and backed by the sense of shared responsibility, Japanese buyers, often seek stories that convey reliability, quality, and of course the company's commitment to supporting its clients, right? And rather than purely just product features or cost benefit,
Mm.
right? So that is very important. So storytelling can achieve that. It can help you to build that reliable source of information, as well as showcase your company's commitment to the market and to quality. Um,
Ah, that makes sense. Yeah,
yeah.
could you please continue?
So yeah, so I think the key difference is, for example, I think storytelling for Japanese B2B audiences versus probably Western audiences. I think in Japan it's important to show humility and avoid being boastful, because again it's a society of modesty and respect for established business practices, right? So a softer narrative would show improvements or enhancements rather than like kind of revolutionary changes that make messaging more relatable. It's very important to have the messaging more relatable. Um, and emphasizing stability and reliability is very important, right? Again, because of the risk-averse nature of businesses here. Whereas Western markets might be more about innovation and like look how cutting edge and new. It's not that it's not important in Japan. It's very important, but they're more likely to value stability and reliability first, and then cutting edge results in technology. Japan is known for its innovation, so it's no surprise that they will look for innovation and cutting edge technology as well. And then the other thing is, again, this comes down to a lot of business and cultural practices, right? It's about the collective benefits, of the business and of the individuals, and the teams, for example, and continuity, right? So Japanese business culture emphasizes this collective success and stable growth. They're not keen on aggressive expansion, right? It's about stability, growth, and storytelling should reflect a product or service strength for the client, and overall how it's going to enhance their corporate harmony and value, versus just standout performance.
And so I think one thing that I see, one common example I see is maybe years in business. I think Honda, I
Mhm.
think some manufacturers, they often say, or in like their commercials or ads, we've been in business for 50 to 100 years. What are some other ways that these companies are showing that they're reliable, they can be trusted, that you've seen?
Yeah, I think, for example, if you look at some of the global companies operating in Japan and how they've been using, storytelling through case studies that focus on how a product or service has helped a Japanese company achieve its goals or cultural relevance. So, for example, I think IBM does a lot with how their AI solutions, improves overall operational efficiency in Japanese industry. So the focus is on efficiency, right, not just innovation, and it's operational efficiency, right. And similarly, I think Cisco Japan, emphasizes how the technology aligns with Japan's traditional values of Kaizen, again, that efficiency, continuous improvement. So those kind of narratives resonates with the audience. And this sustainable development and operational excellence that aligns with Japanese business sentiment are one few ways that I've seen businesses do well with storytelling in the market.
And I'm not sure if you could mention it, but maybe what is one way you've helped a client with storytelling? So a company entering the Japan market.
Yeah, I think what we try to do with all of our clients is first try to really understand their history, their relevance in their home market, and how that relevance in their home market they can bring that history and that success to Japan. So make sure that that resonates with the Japanese target audience, the businesses they are targeting, the decision makers they are targeting, highlight and showcase that, right? And then early wins. So the first customer, even if it's a small customer, like kind of try to work with that early customers to do case studies with, how their business has helped them, alleviate a pain or a challenge or deliver results for them. So try to get those early case studies with those early wins, and then, bring that out in a story format, with explaining, again, the history, the tradition, the value, the innovation, and all of that from the, home market or other countries that they're operating in, and make that relative to what the Japanese, businesses are looking for. And if you're able to connect that with Japanese clients that you've started doing business, maybe before they enter the market, they were doing a distributor model with domestic companies, and see if you can tap into that, early successes even before they actually set up shop in the country, and then use that content to educate the market that we have been in Japan even longer than we've just established, this year or last year, but we've been in Japan longer than that. And you find a lot of that with global businesses because, quite often, especially in B2B, companies look for distributors, sales partners to help them to get the foot in the door and help them to build their brand in the market, then eventually invest, to have an office or have a bigger presence. So why lose that, early success content? If you can showcase that, that's great.
Kind of a unique question, but I'm thinking as I was listening, this is probably what some listeners might be thinking. It's what, based on what you've seen, what are some ways you could increase the odds of your early Japanese customers to actually give you a testimonial?
I think it's important to showcase them, showcase their company, their story, like their success as well. I think they see value in the co-publicity, right? To be aligning with international brands as well. And I think it's important that you're not just talking about me, but we, how we have helped to address a society's issue or challenge or goal, or and that way they are more willing to talk, with to come out more publicly and talk about what they've been achieving, togetherness, right? And of course, highlighting the company, their history in the market, right? Like and their achievements in the market, right, is also important.
How does it benefit Japanese companies, I guess, to show that they are collaborating with, let's say, foreign startups?
Mm-hmm.
Could you tell us a little bit about that? How does it benefit them?
Yeah, I mean, not necessarily startups, but even more established brands that are entering the market. Like they are startup in Japan, but established globally, right? So I think because of this need for continuous improvement and small innovations. So when they find a different way to solve a problem more efficiently with less resources, or faster, then that is definitely a win for the market, win for their customers, right? So I think in those instances, it's easier for them to want to share it and talk about it, because that will help them to secure more business and more clients, and also show their clients how they have been, improving, their efficiencies and delivering results for their clients. So it's about, if it doesn't exist in Japan and there is a piece of technology or piece of know-how or knowledge that you can implement with a partner from out of Japan, then, why not, leverage that, and why not, then showcase what you've been leveraging and how you can then improve your clients, results. It's all
Awesome.
the connectivity towards shared goals.
Awesome. Excellent. Next, I would like to jump into generative AI, because I'm pretty sure some listeners are thinking about that. But yeah, so can you tell us what results are, sorry, what you learned by doing the survey on generative AI usage for B2B marketing?
Sure. Our survey showed that 52% of companies in Japan are not using these tools yet. They're quite cautious. And I think part of that is, comes from cultural or structural or operational reasons in Japan, where, again, this need for stability, accuracy, brand reputation are very important. So companies here tend to move slower in adopting new technology, especially if it's kind of a lot of automated functions that require kind of personal or cultural nuance. And I think this emphasis on quality and accuracy in Japan is very like high quality conscious, so companies worry that AI might compromise on accuracy or miss the cultural subtleties, which can then, especially in terms of content marketing, if you miss that, and you're using generative AI to create content, and your content kind of feels out of touch with the Japanese consumers' preferences. So that is an issue. And then there's reliance on human oversight, to ensure that the quality is there. And you got to have that, used AI, but rely on human oversight. The other issue is like risk aversion, as I mentioned, and which can lead to, brand damage of brand reputation. So there's a lot of focus on reputation and risk management in Japan. So there's a perceived risk of AI, where errors in automated content generation or data security or potential misunderstandings due to language or culture, so that's why companies are hesitant, to dive right into AI. And I think there's also workforce transition and skills. There's skills gap as well. So there's a limited pool of kind of AI talent in Japan. Companies are facing many challenges in hiring and upskilling employees to work with AI tools. So there can be a skills gap as well that kind of slows down adoption of AI in the market. So companies want to integrate smoothly, right? It's this process of make sure we do it, but do it right, not just rush and do it and then figure it out. So that's why it's like it takes more time, a more cautious approach. And then, of course, there's the data privacy and regulatory concerns that companies have with breach in data, or breach in regulations as well. But I feel like generative AI, especially in content marketing, is improving over time, and it's good to see the leaders in the technology investing in Japan and ensuring that there's investment in especially in Japanese language content, which is great, which is what's most important. And what we're finding is companies are using generative AI for testing, the generating ideas at scale.
Gotcha.
Good. But then the challenge, of course, is scale might be there, but you won't get originality or quality. But then it's up to the human connection to take those ideas and then build on it, separately, not continue to use AI for it. Just get those initial ideas. And for example, also kind of using it for kind of low
risk, maybe.
low risk content, yes, like social media content or posts or basic ad copy. You can generate like 5, 6, 10 at scale. You can generate a lot of copy. And nowadays, advertising technologies have optimization as well, and they optimize and suggest alternative content as well based on, again, user behavior and the like. So that's where kind of AI is being used. And another area is chatbots, virtual assistants, because again, it's a resource. So where there's a demand for lack of resources, so AI can cover that gap. So in customer service content, FAQs, you have all the content, you just build it out and then leverage Gen AI to deliver that. And then creating, again, with digital marketing, right? Creating newsletters, creating newsletter drafts, and all of that as well. Generative AI can definitely assist, especially at scale.
Yeah, I think I've been finding something, or at least in my company, we do use it a lot for ideation. We do use it a little bit for content creation, but sometimes like it comes up with some crazy hallucinations, like even still to this point. Or I think one case, like I was looking for like, hey, can you please provide us some successful market entry case samples? And like they gave one, I was like, I don't think that's Japan. I looked it up online. It was like for Spain. I'm like, how could you mix up a case study for Spain and Japan? And it's kind of crazy sometimes, the hallucinations, but yeah, the ideation. If you don't mind me asking yourself, like, how do you guys use generative AI?
Yeah, again, it's for us, it's ideation is the key, and I think you can use Gen AI to create, copy that you then take and like I said, fact check it and make sure that you only take the relevant pieces and information. I think, we also use it for research, right? So you can use it to say, tell me about so-and-so, tell me about so-and-so business, so-and-so industry. Because, traditionally you would go to Google and do a Google search, and then you look for the answers, right? And then it's you spending time to look for the answers. But now you can use generative AI to give you that information, do the research and give you the information. But be cautious in making sure the information fact check that information, right? Then you can take that information and go to Google search and go find the source. And and often if you do ask it to provide sources as well, it does give sources. Then you can fact check the source and make sure that it's accurate. But you got to be creative with it. And speaking of creative, of course, there are a lot of AI tools that help with visual content creation, right? Like editing images, creating, mock-ups of, ads and the like, which you can. There are many, tools now with, AI, like Adobe's got AI built in it. Canva's got AI. A lot of the, digital marketing tools now do have some form of AI. But now it means that the team needs to upskill to use those tools and technologies, right? Because you can get quite easily stuck into, I do this in Photoshop, I do it quicker. Why do I need to ask AI to do it, right? But when you get used to using AI to do it, then you realize how efficient it can be. I think it's a challenge, because if you rely too much on it and then you just start accepting the output, because maybe first time it gives you good output, second time you have a good output, but third time it may not be accurate, and you think it's good because the first and second time it was. That's the risk of kind of getting too complacent that this is good, right? And you got to be cautious, I think.
Yeah, I agree on all fronts. One of the common challenges I see with my consulting clients is not having any staff internally who can drive marketing strategy and execution to the next level. This really limits the growth trajectory of a company, especially for a leader like you that wants to go from 30 million to 500 million yen a year and does not have the time to spend years learning through trial and error. To solve this problem, I'm launching a marketing agency that can help companies like yours to increase leads and closing rates through SEO, Google Maps, content marketing, and websites that convert. Head over to scalingyourcompany.com and book a free consultation. Let's talk about what your business needs are, where your current strategy is letting you down, and how we can help you see real results with the methods I've successfully implemented at multiple companies myself. Now, back to the episode. Your report identified that maintaining content quality, I think we talked a little bit about generative AI, but while scaling production is a major challenge. And I guess, could you tell us a little bit more about this problem, and also maybe if you could elaborate on how companies can manage this balance?
Yes, I think the reason for that is because nowadays there are so many channels, right, to create and publish content on, because you need to, reach a diverse audience sect, right? Like buyers are, consuming content, information through various sources, various channels. You got to be on those channels. If you want to reach your buyer, you need to reach them on their channel of information gathering, right? That's why there's this need for creating volume content or repurposing content for multiple channels. And the challenge then comes as limited resources, right? If you have limited resources and you got to pump out content for 5 channels, right? Then you have a risk of prioritizing or deprioritizing, or losing some touch points with customers. So in order to do that, more and more marketers, especially small medium businesses where they don't have a huge marketing or PR team behind them, need to outsource and need to rely on partners. In that sense, this is where agencies like us come into play, and we can help address those challenges for our partners. So I think that is going to continue to be the issue, because again, you can create a lot of content using Gen AI and whatnot, but then you got to validate it, you got to fact check it, you got to make sure it's culturally nuanced for your audience and all of that. This is where agencies with local knowledge can come to play and help you to create a lot of content at scale. So then you can focus on the messaging, the tone, the voice, rather than the actual execution and creation of the content itself. So be more directional rather than creational.
What channels do you tend to help your clients with, or do you try to steer them towards?
I think the very first channel, of course, is their website, right? Website is the hub, right? So if your potential buyers find you somewhere, see an ad somewhere, see your content show up somewhere, they're gonna go to the source to do their own research. So make sure you have a really good website, with the latest content, latest blogs and whatnot. So websites are the first. And then depending on the audience they're trying to reach, video content, so YouTube is big. And also content syndication, working with media publishers to create shared content and publish it, through those channels as well. Those would be the top. Social media, as we both know, for B2B, LinkedIn is still not there. It is getting better. But mostly we work with content syndication partners.
Gotcha. Could you describe what a content syndication partner is?
So, for example, it could be a specific industry, like an IT media. So if it's a technology company that's trying to reach CTOs and C-level decision makers in their industry, and so those C-level executives, they often follow or read or subscribe to industry publications such as IT media and EE media and whatnot. So then we partner with those media platforms to say, okay, we've got this case study. We think this will be of interest or value to your readers, and we know your readers are this profile. So would you be interested in content syndication? So it's often paid for content. However, it's information that's of interest to the audience. But those publishers are open to then allowing you to write thought leadership articles or co-creating the content with you and then publishing it on their website and sending it through their newsletters to their audience. So this way we know we can reach exactly the set
Exactly.
audience in the medium they like to read the content. These audiences, they are savvy. They know it's paid for content. If they find it of value, if they find it of interest, always have a call to action, send them to download a white paper or attend a webinar or do a demo of the product or something like that. So then the decision is in their hands whether they want to act on it or not. But
makes perfect sense because yeah, sometimes it's really hard to reach these people. It's not like you can just create a Google ad and it's going to land on their doorstep.
exactly. And there's just so many industry associations for everything in Japan, and a lot of them have membership associations that have membership newsletters. And those are other ways as well. Trade associations, partnering with them, becoming a member, finding ways to, then share, information, share best practices, and bring that global relevance to Japan. Those are, again, win-win for the association, for their members, and then also for the brand that's trying to enter a growth market.
How do you see the content marketing landscape moving in the next couple of years?
Yeah.
And any trends potentially?
I think definitely content marketing in Japan is going to evolve significantly in the coming years. And a lot of it is going to be driven by technology, but also consumer expectations, and then the need for brands to have build more deeper connection and more authentic connections with their audiences. So for this, I think trends that I see happening in Japan with content marketing is growing AI integration and data personalization. The other thing is with AI is you can create personalized data, right? And because typical buying committee for a B2B product is anywhere from 7 to 12 decision makers, and creating tailored content for specific audiences is going to be critical, right? So that's an area where I think you can create more hyper-personalized content for each of the decision-making, audiences. But also, I think predictive analytics with content, because again, there's a lot of content out there. There's a lot of data out there. So I think, AI is going to help to distill that data and provide insights. That's the other thing I think that's pretty good with AI, because there's so much information out there. You can give it to the machine and ask it to summarize and just give the insights so that brands can then look at anticipating what the needs are based on content trends.
Gotcha. That would be very cool.
Yeah. So it's kind of data-driven content, dynamically updated kind of content that kind of matches audience searches, audience preferences is going to, improve. And visual content, there's a lot more audio-visual content created through AI, right? So there's the rise of video and short-form content as well. Especially younger audiences would be gravitating towards kind of audio-visual content. So I think companies will be investing more in creating video content. And I think users are also getting used to seeing content generated by AI. So they know this is AI content, but they are consuming it, they are taking the informational, educational value of it, and they're not discrediting it because it's created by AI. Because there's still a lot of thought going into creating that content. So I think they're seeing more value in it. I think those would be kind of the areas. And with account-based marketing, we did a whole segment on account-based marketing. I think there's also a shift towards ABM in Japan. And that means relationship building. Again, so to build these relationships, you need to provide a lot of content over a long period of time. You've got to build those nurture sequences and provide value fairly, substantial period of time before a decision is made. So again, AI can help to create that content, and then you can repurpose that content across companies in an industry sector because they have similar pains, similar challenges, similar goals. So then you can personalize content for X company, but then repurpose it for Y company because it's the same industry and similar needs.
So I think there's still a huge opportunity because it's not flooded like the US. Like the US right now is just ridiculously flooded with content. But in Japan, there's still a long way to go. But do you expect Japanese companies to increase their content marketing budgets in the near future or more far future?
What we saw with our survey was about 32% said their budget was staying the same, at least for the fiscal year. But about 27% said they were increasing it because they're seeing a need to increase it. I expect companies to invest more in content marketing because it's starting to prove that deliver results. Like we discussed, that when brands start to understand the value of thought leadership, they know they need to invest in thought leadership, and to invest in quality content, you need to have good budgets. So I think that's going to improve.
Awesome. Even though like my company is really small, where I think I'm spending about probably 20% of my revenue on content marketing just to make sure I can create that moat, get that lead, and it does have it's people are just finding their way to us.
Right. It is because there's some alarming stats out there in B2B industries. 70% of buyers do their own research, make up their own minds, and pretty much I have shortlisted the companies that they want to do business with. So the remaining 30% is more about, for them then making sure that company X versus company Y is the right partner for them, in what they're trying to achieve. So in order for aiding businesses to do their own research and gain their own insights in your business, in your industry, you need to provide that content to them. You need to give them, the content. And there's this big debate with gated content versus ungated content. I think you'll find more and more companies moving towards ungated content because if somebody wants to know about you or your business, if you're going to make it difficult for them to find that, I know there's a lead, there's a big emphasis from the sales and BDRs that okay, we need that lead, we need to know who. But the beauty is you don't need to know who because they're going to find you and reach out to you. And so when you make the contact, it's kind of, especially for the bigger size deals, the brands are already doing their own research and and coming prepared to the table, right? So you want to make it easy for them, not difficult for them to find out more about you, about your company and your solution or product, technology. The more information you can provide them, the more well-informed they will be. So when they come to the table, they're like, yeah, we know you, we know all about your company. So this is where we need help. How can you help us?
And just to give the audience one example, like for me to find like how much it would cost outsource SEO where I actually trusted the information, it took me probably 45 minutes to 1 hour because there's just so much crap.
Wow. Yeah.
And I did use Perplexity AI, and I had to tweak Perplexity. I had to use Perplexity AI, check the articles. It finally found me a good article, but I remember the company's name because there was so much crap out there. That one company who actually answered my question was like, "Thank God you wrote this content."
It's that aha moment, right? So
exactly,
it's difficult for you to find that piece of content. It wouldn't have helped your decision-making process.
And because there's so much crap out there, I think there's a good opportunity.
There's a need.
And Robert, so I guess one of my goals for this episode with you is to actually get people to check out your survey and report. So without going into details, what are some things we didn't discuss in our interview that they could find in your survey and report so we can get people to go check it out?
Yeah, I think the report will talk a little bit more about the role of content storytelling and content marketing, and the role of creating narratives, effective narratives, storytelling, and also the various formats. I mentioned marketers need to produce content for a lot of formats, both paid and organic, right? So you'll find more details about what formats companies are using, are investing in, and what content they're typically outsourcing to partners. because that can help you produce more high quality content when you know, okay, what type of service providers are out there that can create quality content for certain formats. Those are things you would find more insightful in the survey.
Awesome. So yeah, we're definitely going to link to the survey and report. Yeah, that's good to have you. And I'm pretty sure we'll have you again to be our kind of resident B2B marketing expert.
It would be my pleasure, Tyson. Really nice chatting with you, and happy to return to the show when we find a good topic that's of value to you and your audience, good content that's of interest to you and your audience. Yeah, happy to be a part of that.
Thanks so much, Robert.
Thank you. You have a good day.